IGI cybersecurity people.
Hey, good morning, Kimberly. Thanks.
We're so glad to have you. I was super excited, especially when they hired another woman for the sales team because, women in tech, we are a mighty force. Rare to find, but a mighty force. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Okay, let's see. Well, I live in Rochester, New York, which is where the IGI headquarters are, so that's handy for going into the office these days. But I was born in Brooklyn, spent most of my life growing up in Rochester, met my husband in college, and if we go all the way back, we moved to the south side of Rochester. We've been married, just celebrated 30 years.
Wow.
Dating myself, yep. And we've got a couple kids. We're almost empty nesters. So we're going through that transition, of refinding your own hobbies, and two dogs who now get most of our attention.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so what are those hobbies? What are your outside passions?
Well, when I'm not working, it's funny, it's easy to fill the time. Even though you're not chasing your kids around, we used to spend quite a bit of time following them in their travels, a lot of travel baseball in our household. And my daughter rode horses, so a lot of horse shows. So a lot of traveling with both of them. And we fill that void with traveling for our own interest, which is a very different. And when I'm not doing that, I'm pretty involved with our local Y, one of the newest and largest Ys in the country. And I've taken up bunch of classes there. So I've gotten into spin and yoga and just a bunch of things like that. If I can be outdoors though, even though I'm in Western New York, I try to be on a trail. So if I'm not at the Y, you can probably find me with the dogs running or walking on the trails or biking. So I like to be outside most of the time.
Nice, nice. And how did you end up in tech?
Well, I didn't choose tech, but being in Rochester, it's not surprising that I started my career at Xerox, one of our big tech companies at the time, and in sales. I didn't really choose tech or sales, but ended up in the combination of the both. And I've stayed there my entire career. I think what probably attracts me most is just the sort of being on the leading edge. I'm not the early adopter always, but I like being, ahead of the curve and being involved with technology that, people need to run their business and sort of run their life. So I spent a majority of my career at Unisys and have since been involved with hardware, software, services, solutions, telecom. Ever since. And then cybersecurity was not really a choice either. There's a lot of folks, I interview folks coming out of school with cybersecurity degrees, which is pretty exciting because that's newer. And I did make a decision to, to sort of stay on the leading edge, bleeding edge, if you will, and had decided that I wanted to pursue cybersecurity. And it was rather coincidental that I was introduced to IGI's president, Andrew Hoyen, by a mutual friend, and sort of the rest is history. So I was able to transfer a lot of the things that I've done in the past in sales and marketing to IGI, and we're in a growth mode. So it's an exciting place to be. And I think even beyond that, cybersecurity has a sense of urgency that I like, and that probably describes why I like being in technology. There's just a sense of urgency to to the technology and to the people that are in it, and that sort of the environment that I like to be in. And it really describes the people at IGI as well. So there's an urgency around the way we either react to what can be an emergency. It's unfortunate when incidents and exploits happen, but that's very much a part of our business. And people mobilize, at all hours, all days of the week. And then there's really an urgency around the need for cybersecurity, right? So even if you're not reacting to something that's happened, there's an urgency around the need to protect and defend. And so I like being involved, with a technology that everyone sort of understands, or at least understands that they need it. It can be very complex in an enterprise environment, but, even as consumers, you could talk to a family member who can, generally understand the concept of, either being hacked or, exploited. So there's a general understanding of the technology and the sort of the desperate need for people to have it.
Absolutely. And so your role inside IGI, you started as the inside channel sales manager, managing a team of folks, and it's kind of evolved a little bit. So kind of talk about just your journey inside IGI, because
Sure.
you have you play a huge role in contribution to the success of the entire sales team.
Well, thanks. I mean, I touch a lot of what we do, for sure. I like to think I'm, contributing. I came in with a very sort of singular purpose to build that team and to support our field team, our channel team, with business development efforts and working with marketing to drive campaigns to support that, and as well as sort of elevating what the inside team is doing, and they've done that in spades in terms of handling more complex solutions and services, which I'm really proud of all of them, because they're the ones that are doing that. But on a more broader role, I do a lot with programs, and now getting involved more with the operations. So a big piece of what we're doing is looking at how we're tracking information, how we're taking care of using our CRM to make sure that we're staying in touch with our customers, and when we have multiple people touching our customers, that we are all having the same conversation. We do a lot of work through channels, obviously, as you know, and it's really important to make sure that everyone on our team, is sort of all working from the same hymn book, if you will, with respect to who we're talking with, and we're taking care of the end user. So anyways, using our CRM to make sure that we're cohesive, as well as getting involved with statements of work and, how we're scoping, our business and proposals. And then we're also looking at more strategically on the operation side, the KPIs for the business, and making sure that those sort of resonate across the team and everyone can be aligned around the same, goals and objectives, from all the way from the executive level, to the folks who are on the front lines supporting the business. And that's a little more the sort of the back office piece of it, but it's very frontline in that it's very strategic, and you got to get everyone marching in the same direction. And I think sort of our KPIs and help us to do that. I also do a lot with onboarding folks. As I mentioned, we're growing. We're looking for folks to add to our sales organization and product management, and so I do a lot of interviewing and bringing people on is one of the most important things that we do. So I like playing a role in that process too.
Yes, and you're very good at it. Uh, you're very good at interviewing and knowing good characteristics and qualities about people who would do well in the job. So I have thoroughly enjoyed working with you because you're very organized. You're very upbeat. You and I have very similar personalities of the cheerleader rah rah role. So it's nice to have another especially a female on the team that we can both support and cheer on the rest of the sales team. And changing the culture at IGI is a good thing, right? Is bringing more diversity into our company as well as into the tech field.